Okay, so this is going to be a shorter presentation. What we're covering today is the property buying decision triangle. We're going to deal with realities on realities terms. One of my favorite phrases from Dr. Drew. If you're my age and you grew up listening to Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew on Loveline, let's get right to it. Okay, OPM, other people's money. This is a phrase we borrowed from Robert Kiyosaki. We're going to use, where do we use OPM? The bank's money to buy the property, the tenant's money to build equity and cash flow, the future money, the future buyer's money in appreciation, and lastly, the money you keep instead of Uncle Sam taking it. Cash flow. These are the four ways we make money on a property. We have cash flow. That's the money we have left over at the end of each month. We have appreciation. That is the value of the property measured in dollars going up over time. Now, just for a quick stop here, we are in an inflationary period. 10 years from now, has the property changed? No, it's actually probably deteriorated a little bit, but the value of it as measured in dollars probably went up. So what's really happening is the value of the property going up? No, it's really the value of the dollar is going down. This is why properties make a great hedge against inflation. Next up, we have taxes. That is the reduction in taxes that you would normally pay to Uncle Sam, but you, being a good little boy, you are providing housing, you are reinvesting into the economy, and Uncle Sam's in there, they're so nice, they're going to let you keep some of your own money. And equity, that is the difference between what you paid and what you owe. Again, whose money are we using to build equity? We're going to use the tenant's money. That we're going to take their money, say, here you go, you can live here, and I'm going to pay my loan down. Last and fifth factor is time, although it's not really a way you make money, but it is something you get back, and it's a factor we need to consider. How much time do I free up through passive investment, not actively working? If I am going to a job, I am trading my time for money. Passive investment is going to make me money with very little to no investment in time. Okay, so what are our three factors? We have high cash flow, low or no initial investment, and low stress. Now, wouldn't we all love a property that did all three? Yes, but we live in reality and there are trade-offs to everything. So we only get to pick two. Let's start out. Let me show you how that works. Let's say Jane is new. She just got her first job out of college and she's starting to make a little bit of money, but she is working an awful lot. She's the low person on the totem pole. So she needs a low stress property. She does not have time to manage this property herself. She does not have time to do a big rehab on the property. Okay, so now she also just started her job, so she probably doesn't have a whole lot of money saved up. So she's going to have to look at one of those VA, FHA, low down programs. Maybe she is going to put 20% down, but she doesn't have 20% down plus all the money to rehab a property to get it to up to speed. Okay, so whether we look at buying the loan down or whether we look at putting capital investment into the property, either way, she does not have that. Okay, so what are we trading off? We're trading off high cash flow. Does that mean it's a bad property? No. Okay, and I know everybody's, cash flow is king and all that. Yes, but are there ways to make money? Is there only one way to make money? No, there's four. Okay, so we're going to concentrate on the other three. In this particular scenario, she needs low stress. She just started her job. She's working a ton. She doesn't have a whole lot of money to put down. So what is she going to trade off? She's going to trade off probably that cash flow on the property. That makes the property a long-term play. Where is she going to make money over the long term? That's going to be through appreciation, taxes, equity, and she's going to get her time back, right? Because she wanted low stress. So she's going to, let's say she puts 20% down and she's going to use that little bit of cash flow she does get to hire a manager, but in the long run, she's getting appreciation, taxes, and equity. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next scenario. let's say Jane is getting ready to retire and she's done pretty good in retirement. She saved her money and she's going, you know what? Maybe I can make retirement look a little bit better. I would like to buy a property that has high cash flow. Now, it's always been Jane's dream to drive around the United States, visit all the national parks in her RV. Now, she's not going to be able to manage a property remotely from her RV. So she needs something that's low stress. Now, what is she going to have to give up? Well, she's going to have to give up some money. She's going to have to buy that investment down a little bit. Okay. Now, again, that can be, she can do like a low down payment loan if she can get that kind of financing and not live in it, or she can buy that, she can build some sweat equity into it using cash and get a contractor to clean it up, push the values up, and push that high cash flow out, right? But there's no low stress, high cash flow version of you going into a property without having to come up with some money first. So we're going to put down our large initial investment. We're going to get our debt service low, which results in a higher cash flow. The high cash flow allows for those tasks to be outsourced to a manager and maintenance vendors, right? Jane's not going to be over there fixing sinks and unplugging toilets herself, okay? And just to cover it again, or let's say she pays full price for a property on a low down payment loan, but this property is really beat up, so full price is pretty low. Then she takes her capital, she improves the property, raises the rents, and builds the cash flow that way. All right, let's go to the third scenario. Now, let's say Jane didn't plan for retirement, or her retirement savings account was destroyed in a big crash. Okay, so she needs high cash flow because she's got to retire on this money. But she got kind of wiped out. So, let's say she doesn't have a lot of money to put down on the property. So what does that mean? Well, Jane, sorry, you're probably going to be managing this yourself. You're probably going to be fixing things yourself. This is the part-time job scenario that we see a lot. Nothing wrong with this scenario, but it's probably the least desirable because we're giving up our life, right? And if you've read Robert Kiyosaki, if you've read a lot of these entrepreneurship books, these investment books, what are we trying to do? We're trying to retire, and retire means not pick up a new part-time job being your own property manager. So but is it doable? Yes, it's doable. We can get our high cash flow putting very little down, but you're going to be doing all the work. Because if you go to a property manager and say, oh, and also I want you to do all the work, that money's got to come from somewhere. That's going to take away your cash flow and switch it to a low stress, low initial investment property, but low cash flow. So last point on the bullets on the left-hand side, cash flow, equity, and appreciation are being earned at the expense of Jane's time. Now, why is taxes in red? Well, taxes is in red because if Jane is doing all the work herself, now maybe she can write off the cost of that faucet. She can write off the cost of that new drywall and paint. She cannot write off the expense of her own time. She can write the expense off of a manager's time because that's an expense, but she can't pay herself hourly out of her taxes. So super short presentation again today. I'm going to leave this slide up. I know this was kind of quick and dirty. Does anyone have any questions for me on this kind of broader concept before we wrap up? I will hang out and see if I see anything pop into the Q&A. So feel free to jump in and tell me if you have a question. Or just tell me that you can hear me. Okay. Doesn't look like we have any questions today. So really quick, review one last time. We have 3 choices to pull from. We have cash flow, stress, or initial investment. We can only pick 2. And a lot of times when I'm working with an investor and they're going, what kind of property should I buy? A lot of it's going to look at how old they are. Where are you in your life cycle? Yes, everybody wants high cash flow, but especially in places like Alaska and Washington, where the cost of properties are very high, we can typically the big boy money is made in the appreciation and equity, not in the cash flow. Now, if you want high cash flow, you can also switch your market. But then we get into the trade-off of, like, I own some property in Oklahoma where my appreciation and equity is diddly squat. It's almost nothing. But I didn't have to put a lot of money down because the properties aren't very expensive, but I get that back in cash flow. All right, everybody, no questions, nothing in the chat. I will go ahead and wrap up. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for spending a little bit of time with me and learning. If you have any questions that you think of later on, just go ahead and jump into the Landlord's Almanac group and let us know. Have a great night.